if I traded it all, if I gave
So welcome back, everyone. So it is Thanksgiving. We're going to have a little bit of fun right now. And again, happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. I know this is all really important stuff that we're talking about today. Right now, we're going to have some fun. But anyone that would like, please call in for any of the things that we're offering here. Our number here, 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. I have with me now Keith Mueller. And Keith is the author of Journey to the Black City. Welcome to the show. Tell everybody, you were here now about, a few months ago.
Yes.
And you're the author. I want you to talk right into here. This book, if you're a sci-fi lover, it is a book in a how many part series? How many?
There are 6 books in this series. And unlike some series, I'm not going to extend it to 9. The 6 are already written. So the story goes through and ends at number 6.
Okay, so this is the first book.
This is the first book.
Of 6. And let me tell you something. If you're a sci-fi lover, this is the book for you. Tell everybody a little bit about the book. Let's talk about it.
Okay, the book it has a little bit of something for everybody, I think, and the series as well. The title is Journey to the Black City, and the Black City in this alternate universe Earth is Los Angeles, and it's called the Black City because all the buildings are made out of basalt and granite. So if you're standing on a hill looking down at it, the whole thing looks black. It's, like I said, an alternate universe Earth, and some things important happened that the reader will pick up as they go. For instance, what we call World War I happened 2,000 years before the story begins. So anything about that is all legend and mythology by now. Nobody can read the languages anymore from back then because unlike the pandemic flu that killed 1% of the population and ended World War I in our universe, on this Earth it kills 90% of the population of the Earth, and it does it so quickly that even the people who bury the dead are dead. So it takes 100 years or 200 years before anybody can even consider moving back into the cities. And the population has been devastated, and nobody can read or write, and eventually they start developing their own language again. And so you've got some people living in these gigantic cities like Los Angeles, which has a number of million people living in it, and there's only 7 cities left in what we would call the United States. And in between these cities dwell what they call the free tribes. These are people who chose not to move back into the city.
How did you come up with this story? I got to find that out. I mean, because, you must have a really strange mind.
I do. I've been told that before. Actually, the first ideas I got for this story were images. And back in the late 70s, or even the early 70s, one of my favorite rock and roll bands is The Doors. And I would listen to that music, and I would frequently think it was obviously modern music for its time, but this thought was there that this is ancient and dangerous music. And so I would just close my eyes and listen to the music, and I would start seeing things. I would see this black city, all built out of basalt and granite, windows barred to the 70th floor, a castle-like portcullises at every entrance to the place. In the street are steam-powered cars and horse-drawn wagons, and obviously a city with steam power. There's a Zeppelin in the sky, backlit by the Aurora Borealis. And
obviously, that happens all the time.
Yeah, just everywhere. and there's also these strange people riding down the street in fur and leather armor with a sword and a shield hanging from their saddle, but a rifle strapped across their back. And I was kind of visualizing the concept of steampunk before I ever even heard of the word.
So explain what that is.
Steampunk is, in essence, taking what you could consider to be a 19th century world and dropping into it 20th and 21st century technology, only constructing it the way it would have been constructed in the 19th century.
Well, we're going to open up the lines to the audience. We're going to keep them open here for everyone to get entered in to win a signed autographed copy of the book. It's Journey to the Black City, and it's the first book in a series of 6.
Yes.
And so you got to start with number 1. okay?
Yes.
Okay, and this is it. So, okay, you can get this book at Amazon.com.
Yes.
But you can also get it here right now. And all you have to do is call in. This is a great book. Maybe you want to give it to somebody as a gift for the holidays.
It would be a perfect Christmas gift.
You know, maybe it's just something you want to curl up and start reading and getting involved with. And it's something that, you know, if you're into this stuff, you're going to love it. You're just going to love it. And I want to talk a little bit more about the story because it has a little bit of romance. It has a little bit of this and that. But I want to I'm going to open up the lines to the audience right now. So our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. And everyone's getting entered in to win a signed autograph copy. It's called Journey to the Black City. Okay, let's go back to this. You know, I want to know a little bit more about the story. What happens?
Well, the story opens with our two main characters, Kel and Lyria. And Kel is a shaman in training. His grandfather is the chief shaman of the village. And he has one thing he needs to finish, one project. And then he'll be a full-fledged shaman, and then he can get married. The only problem is while he's out on a hunting trip, his grandfather gets kidnapped in a raid by a Zeppelin on their village. So his grandfather's gone. He can't finish his training, so he and his girlfriend have to travel to the Black City to try and rescue the grandfather, and so he can rescue him and finish their training. So there's this romance and then this tension between these two people that desperately want to be together but can't because this is just the way it is.
And so what happens when they get there? On the way, let's put it that way. There's got to be something that happens on the way.
Oh, a lot of interesting thing happens on the way. One thing is they come across a overturned cart with arrows sticking out of it and bodies. And they bury the dead and realize that bandits had taken robbed the wagon. A little bit later on, they meet another character who has come from another village, and they're looking for this family because they were out on a trading mission, and they knew that there was something wrong. And the girl, who's 9, named Noria, has been kidnapped. And they find out from this fellow who used to live in Los Angeles that the girl is being taken into the city and being put into a sex trafficking business run by...
you got to have that in. It's probably...
it's a nefarious...
It's almost everything in there.
Yes, there's a nefarious religion where purporting to save women's souls, they turn them into sex slaves, and they deal in drugs to make money, and they're more like a organized crime syndicate than a religion. And so the basic premise once they get to the city is there's this weird thing going on. It's like the city people don't really trust the tribal people because you know how those tribal people are. You turn your back on them, they'll steal from you. And the tribal people look at the city as this monolith of bad stuff. And both have to come to terms with not everything that comes from the tribe is bad, not everything is good. Like one of the villagers told Kel before they left on this journey, not everything that is black is evil, and not everything that is white is good. You know, you have to make your own decisions as you go. You can't make assumptions.
Now, we've got our lines open here, and everyone's getting entered in to win a signed autograph copy of the book. It's Journey to the Black City. It's sci-fi. It's a little bit for everyone. Steampunk. And
yes.
We've got our lines open here. Our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. You could check him out on his website. It's Mueller, Mueller.com, or go to Amazon.com, or right here, we've got our lines open here, and everyone could get calling throughout the rest of the show for all of these things, and you're going to get entered in to win. It's the book 1 of 6 books, and you've got to start with number 1, Journey to the Black City. Our number here is 602-277-5369, and toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. What I want to know is, in a little fantasy story such as this, how do they make believe that what they're really really reading is almost true.
Well, one of the big problems that I've seen with a lot of science fiction, particularly the movies, is they're so CGI heavy that you never really get to learn anything about the characters. The characters are just two-dimensional. This guy's a good guy, but you don't know why. That guy's a bad guy, but you don't know why. But they're fighting.
Isn't that what we think about the Stranger Thing right now? It's like, that show? I feel like that. I don't even know who that was. Okay, get rid of him.
Yeah, and that's the problem. And so my characters, both good and bad, have backstories explained as the 6 books go on, and you get to meet them, all of them, the bad guys and the good guys, and you get to understand why this guy is good and that guy is bad, and why that woman is evil and this one isn't.
We've got our lines open here. We're going to go to a break. We're going to come back further and talk a little bit more about it. The book is called Journey to the Black City. You can get it at Amazon.com. You can get it here free. Our number here, 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. And everyone's getting entered in to win. It's book 1 of a part 6 series that you have to start with this one first. It's a great book for yourself or for the holidays. Our number here again, 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. Again, it's Journey to the Black City, and it's by Keith Mueller. You could check him out on his website. It's krmueller.com. Call in here and get it for free. 602-277-5369.
If I traded it all.
Welcome back, everyone. Before this holiday begins, we have our lines open here for everyone to get entered in to win book 1 in a 6-part series, Journey to the Black City by Keith Mueller. Our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. We were talking a little bit about at the break. Your next book is about ready to come out. Pre-orders are being taken.
Yes.
And it's called Coming Out. What is it called?
Journey to the Jungle City.
Oh, I would say Journey to the Jungle City. So what is that going to be about?
Well, what happens is after Kel and Lyria get to Los Angeles, find out that the grandfather they're looking for has been spirited away by this evil religion to what we would call South America, what they call Green Hell. It's a land of gigantic jungles, the Amazon, and grasslands. And because this is the Pleistocene Ice Age, in Book 2 you'll start running into what the scientists in our culture call terror birds, which are the 10-foot tall carnivorous birds, flightless of the time. And you meet an interesting group of people that most people wouldn't expect to find in a steampunk story. But a lot of the stuff in my stories is not like you usually see in other science fiction stories. For instance, in Book 2, there will be a confrontation that will just about level the city, involving an animal that in every other movie, in every other book, and every movie that's ever been made that I've ever seen or read is depicted as this gigantic, monstrous thing. And in this story, you will cry for this creature.
Wow. What does that mean? Why will you cry?
Because of the interaction between this creature and the young girl that we talked about that was kidnapped. Kel and Lyria rescue her in the first book, and they take her down there. She's special. They find out that she has psychic abilities, and they bring her down there to try and help them find Kel's grandfather. And she intervenes with this, what we would call monster. And it's something you have to read to really understand. Yeah.
And it's coming out. Book 2 is coming out. Journey to the Jungle City. And you said that they call the jungle Green Hell?
Yes.
My garden looks like that sometimes. Sometimes, right? The people. So it's probably pretty cool. I don't know how you came up with some of these things. So we've got now Book 1. Everyone is calling in to get our number here, 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. You can get this book at Amazon.com, but we're offering it here for everyone to get entered in to win a signed autograph copy. Just call us here, 602-277-5369, and toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. So what else can you tell us about, like, this new Earth that you were talking about?
Well, the new Earth is actually this post World War I, what we would call Earth. Of course, all that past history is remembered as mythology and legend. They refer to the two contestants in that war as the Unified Tribes of the Black Cross, which would be Germany, and the Unified Tribes of the White Star, which would be the United States. Airplanes, of course, because it's a steampunk book, you don't have airplanes, you have Zeppelins, airships. And the entire East Coast was completely devastated by what we would call German airships. But then this sudden plague came, and it killed so many people so fast that nobody had time to fight a war. And then, of course, also, I should add that this is also the Pleistocene Ice Age in this world. So things aren't exactly running in the same chronological order as they do for us. So you've got this mile-high ice sheet gradually creeping down over the top half of the world. It's grinding the cities of men into oblivion, and nothing they can do, whether with magic or science, can stop it. And so by the time this story starts 2,000 years after that war, there's practically nothing left of civilization. Each of these cities is its own separate government, kind of like ancient Greece, where you had city-states. Each one makes their own rules and regulations, and
it's crazy when I'm sitting there listening to you.
But think about this. How much would you have to pay a travel agent to allow you to take a vacation in an alternate universe?
A lot of money.
A lot of money. And here, from this program, you can get there for free, or from Amazon. You know, and this is a universe, I guarantee you, it's not like any other that you've seen in movies or in science fiction books before.
So when you say journey, you really mean journey.
Oh, yes. The reader goes on the journey. One of my favorite authors from the past was Ray Bradbury. And one of the things I liked about Ray Bradbury is he could make you see things. His descriptions were perfect. And I have had almost everybody that I've talked to who've read this book already, some of my test readers and stuff, it's like they said watching a movie. They can see in their head what's happening as the thing goes on.
I'm going to let you read something. We have a couple of minutes, so why don't you read something from your book if you'd like. We've got our lines open here, and everyone who's calling in, you're getting entered in to win a signed autograph copy. It's book one of a six-part series, and yes, you have to read them in order. Book two is on its way. Book one is Journey to the Black City. Book two is Journey to the Jungle City. Our number here, 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. Go ahead.
Okay, we'll start with the very beginning of chapter 1. This is a dream. Kel is having a dream. It was almost dark by the time Kel had climbed to the top of the path through the mountains. He stood atop the ridge and gazed down into the valley below him. It was hard to see in the deepening twilight, and even harder to understand what he was looking at. To Kel, it seemed that the plain below was covered with black rocks, but the rocks seemed impossibly large and were arranged in a more or less straight line, with seeming pathways between them. At the nexus of this orderly tangle of rocks, they soared into the sky. Even at this distance, he could tell that the tallest of the standing stones were over 100 feet tall, and that there were many of them. He looked to the north, and he saw the ice wall. Though it was still some distance away, Kel knew it was coming. The great glacier that had been grinding the world of men for over 1,000 years was still slowly moving south. He looked back at the dark plain, and as the wonder of what he was looking at gradually subsided, he saw a light in the midst of the blackness. This light was pure white, not a reflection of the ice lights that flickered in the red, green, and purple curtains to the north. It was small, like the smallest pinprick of light in an otherwise empty sky. To Kel, it seemed as if a star had come to Earth and was dwelling in that terrifying blackness below him. He suddenly knew that his destiny lay amid those sinister black stones, and he finally realized what he was seeing. It was the Black City of the West, the nation city that was named Los Angeles.
That's unbelievable. So you do that where you just really describe it almost so that you actually are visualizing it in your mind. You can see it.
I can see it. I've seen it for 20 years already, the city, you know, from these way back in the 70s when I was originally seeing this city. And I never realized what it was. And so I basically feel like I'm transcribing something that's already happened, like I'm a reporter just reporting on events that have already happened that I've seen, and now I'm writing them down.
What are people saying about the book?
Well, everybody that has read it thinks they're eagerly waiting to keep asking me when book 2 is going to come out, so they must like it.
And so tell them about book 2 again.
In book 2, our main characters, Cal, Lyria, and Raven, who used to be called Noria, travel into Green Hell looking for Cal's grandfather. And down there, much to their surprise, they find another black city. A city being constructed again out of basalt and granite with a high wall around it. And down there, this nefarious priesthood, which in the north was using child labor and mostly women to do their work for them, purporting to save their souls, down here, it's wonderful. They have all these jungle tribes that they can just kidnap and turn into slaves and use them as they see fit. And they're building this city because they want to move their religion down into Green Hell where they can consolidate it and not allow anybody else in except the followers of their religion. They're building a compound.
Well, you thought you'd like one of these sci-fi shows that are on. This is really super. And it's book 1 and now 2
Yes.
of a series of 6. They're already all written. You can get them at Amazon.com.
That's correct.
You could check Keith out on his website. It is Mueller, Mueller.com. And we've got our lines. We're going to keep them open for everybody to keep on calling here. Our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. Everyone's getting entered in to win a signed autographed copy of the book, Journey to the Black City. I just want to also tell you something, ask you something that you could tell them, that the readers, what can they expect in your books?
I think they can expect a variety of things. There are some very unusual things, like I said. For instance, the steam-powered automobiles and ships are solar-powered. They have
Solar Sandy must have talked to them.
They have giant quartz crystals that they found a special way to polish, and they mount them along the sides of the automobiles and trucks and on the backs of sailing ships. These are gigantic quartz crystals, and during the day they can use these quartz crystals to heat the water, to boil, to make the steam to run the ships.
Wow. What else? What else would be something different, real quickly?
The people and the society is completely different from anything that I've heard about. It's no Walking Dead or any of these other like television shows. It's unique.
The book is called Journey to the Black City. It's book 1 of 6. Number 2 is coming out. Our number here, 602-277-5369.